myself, but I think that's the problem. My
You
roommate...
sit there with your broken cheese sauce. You're like, maybe I'm too confident.
Ah ha ha ha! Stomp, 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 slam. Hey, you're probably listening to Let's Stay Together, which is a podcast about Fruits Basket by Natsuki Takaya. I'm Ellen.
Okay,
And today we're talking about mac and cheese.
these are our cooking podcast.
Yeah, it's the Ellen Fails at Cooking podcast. Today we're actually discussing chapter 39, so just the one. Next time we're going to be talking about 40 and 41, so we're going back to our 2 chapters an episode schedule, and that was for reasons, it was for choices. So we'll see next time.
Reasons and choices.
Yeah. Well, it was a reason because I thought this was a one-off chapter, but I forgot all the stuff that happens about halfway through the chapter, which is a setup for the next 2. But then I was like, well, it's still good because I wouldn't want to do 3 at once because then it would be a super long episode and it would be too much.
Yeah, they're kind of weird because this one like leads into the next 2, but then like the one after that kind of trails off of that one.
Yeah. There's a point in this series, so like up until now, there have been pretty clean breaks between all of the chapters, and there gets to be a point, probably in another couple volumes, where it was started to get difficult to plan out. So basically, like, for anyone who's curious, this podcast is planned out. It's planned out until like the middle of next year. So, like, there's a point where it gets to a certain point where the episodes, like, or not the episodes, the chapters, it'll be like one chapter about this topic and then another one about this, and like the plot from that one is suspended into the next, or like over the next one. So sometimes they're broken up. There's more ongoing things happening in the plot, so there are more pieces that are like suspended that don't get touched on in a chapter, and something will be inserted in between. It's not as like what we saw up till now is that there's usually like 2 chapters and some ideas introduced in one, and then it's paid off right in the second one usually. And that's happened in every single one. Even when we did 31 to 34, chapter 33 introduced the idea of Kazuma and Kyo kind of like not getting along as father and son, and then the chapter where it's more focused on Kyo's perspective, like delivers on that right away. So it's all part of one overall arc, but they do still follow that like setup and then end chapter. And now we're getting into a place where that sometimes the story, this like arc, will span over 3 chapters. Sometimes it'll be like one thing happens and it doesn't come back for another couple of chapters. So it's a little bit trickier. That's why things are planned out this way. So that's the reasons part.
Yeah, and I think we start to get more like our characters aren't all hanging out in the same place at the same time as much. We start to get a little more spread.
Yeah, the group
in our main cast. So.
And they hang out with different people at different times.
Yeah.
Also, more and more characters join the cast. So, like, we just had Hiro last time. There's nobody new this time. But, like, soon in a couple of chapters, I think there'll be some more new characters. So, like...
Yeah.
Because there's so many, they spread out.
Sorry.
I'm also excited. Listen, it's fine.
I looked at the end of this volume and I was like, oh my god.
So, yeah, there's some weird... Like, not weird. I mean, it's on purpose. But sometimes the chapters aren't so clean-cut anymore, and it's starting to happen now, but really it happens like probably at the end of like volume 10 or 11 or whatever. Whenever you get about midway through the series, that's when it starts to really, because things pick up. But it's fine. We'll see.
So get prepared for Let's Stay Together cliffhanger edition.
Yeah, basically. So yeah, it's gonna be a good time. Okay, so like I said, we're discussing chapter 39 today, and then next time it'll be 40 and 41 together, and then it'll be like 2 chapters together for a while. We'll let you know when everything changes. Okay, so we're gonna do our summary discussion and spoilery discussion as we always do, just for the one chapter. So chapter 39 opens with all the kids at the school pool, which I was not expecting. I was like, I thought they were just at the pool. I forgot they were at school.
Yeah. I wish my school had a pool.
None of my schools had a pool.
No.
My husband's school had a pool, but that's because it was right next to a community center. So technically the pool was in the community center. And they would go and have, like, they had gym, like, swimming for gym, which is how he learned to swim. So, you know.
There's a pool in one of my college buildings at my first college. But I never found it. I just smelled it.
I had to go and take...
like, walked through that gym building, and I was like, I can smell the chlorine, but I don't know where the pool is.
I had to go and take exams in the gym a lot at the college that I went to, so always you'd have to walk by like these weird, like, you know, like cinder block hallways that were clearly going to the pool. and like you could see the pool. So that's my recollection of the pool. Anyway, listen, they're at the school pool apparently, and Uo is relaxing back in the pool, donning a rad zebra print bikini, as I said in my notes. Some kids are in the pool being sassy to Uo, or being sassy about Uo, like, why is the Yankee in the school pool? Shouldn't she be playing hooky or something? I can't believe there's still people who hang on to that dumb fad, and a girl in our class no less. It's just weird, right? And Hana swims up behind them. This is why I looked up Sadako. We were just talking about horror movie tropes in our anime break, and now the reason I had looked it up is because of this. So Hana swims up behind them, and her hair is all spread out, and of course the two girls freak out and they swim away speedily. It turns out that Hana, who is clad, of course, in a black low cut one piece, was looking for a hair tie in the water, but to no avail. But luckily Toru arrives, clad in her school swimsuit, with a hair tie for her. And Uo is stunned and then sobs dramatically. Inside the change room, Uo continues to lament about Toru's school uniform swimsuit, and Hana says she'll just have to get used to it. And Uo's like, I know, but... And then Hana gesticulates to Toru, who is sweat dropping nervously. But is she not lovely? Hana asks. And Uo was like, it's not like I think it's ugly or something, ugly or embarrassing, she says, from the freak out corner of the locker room. It's just, it's just the same feeling I get when I see an old man still buying his lunch at a convenience store. That old man might not think anything of it, but watching him, I can't help but feel awkward and miserable on his behalf, and before I know it, for no reason, I start to cry. Cry! That's right. The one who rings him up crying is me. Arisa does
Look
cry.
at this poor old guy who's just like trying to buy his lunch and was like sobbing and just taking his money.
The reason I put that whole quote in this is because I thought it was hilarious. And I relate. Arisa really does cry easily, Hana says. Toru thinks that the bathing suits are expensive, and she was just trying to be frugal by not buying another one, but you can't keep making Uo sad. But Uo perks up with a cheeky smile and says, oh yeah, I have a great idea. We cut to Shigure's house, where she announces her a great idea to Shigure, Yuki, and Kyo, and says, we're buying Toru a swimsuit. We decided it's going to be a gift from everyone, so pony up the cash, boys. This is like when she was like, we're going bowling, and the kid is like, I love bowling. Kyo argues, of course, and Shigure is all for it, and Yuki asks why. So, same reaction as usual from all three of them.
I like Kyo being unable to say the word swimsuit.
He's like, why are you getting her, and Uo is like, just say it. When Uo explains that Toru is still using her middle school swimsuit, Shigure spits out his tea in shock, and Toru joins them downstairs, and then Shigure immediately stands up and grabs her shoulders, and it's like, Toru-kun, we must buy one. We must buy you a proper one right now, okay? And she ahs and ehs, and Uo is like, and Hana remarks that he has a soft place for Toru-kun too. So we cut to the old bathing suit shop.
Ye old bathing suit.
Yes. The girls are looking at suits. What are people, I feel like going into a retail store is the old store now at this point in time, right? The girls are looking at suits, and Toru isn't sure what she wants. And they're torn. Should she get a one-piece or a two-piece? And so Uo calls out to the cavalry, yo, boys, you want to see her in a bikini or a one-piece? And of course, it turns out that Yuki and Kyo have been dragged along, apparently by force, they say. They're all bashful about it. So Uo's like, come on, cut loose. It's not like we're asking you what kind of panties you like. And they're both embarrassed. And Yuki facepalms Kyo is like, have some shame, woman. So, just a typical day in the friend group.
Also, Kyo's wearing kind of a shirt with like an upside down peace sign.
Is he really? I didn't even notice.
Just want to call out his terrible fashion.
It's like sweet, like 90s manga fashion. What are you talking about? Early 2000s manga fashion. Zippers everywhere.
Yes.
And belts and stuff. It's like, fine, color. You can at least think of a color looks good on Toru. Blue, Yuki says. Orange, Kyo says. And of course they argue about it while Uo looks on with raised eyebrows. Pink, Hana chimes in. Pink is best. And Kyo and Yuki say nothing. Toru looks over at the four of them with kind of a question mark speech bubble. And Uo is like, pink is good. And Kyo is like, if you've already decided, don't ask. Uo explains that Kyoko was the red butterfly, and Katsuya, Toru's dad, was simple, so white. Put them together and you get pink for Toru. And then we see a drawing of the three of them together when Toru was a wee little baby.
Adorable chubby baby Toru.
So cute. Baby Toru is cute. Spoiler alert, baby Toru comes back, I think, later. But But maybe little baby Toru is cute in this little memory. Or that's not really her memory. In this little flashback we're seeing.
Yeah.
A pink swimsuit, she says. It'll be cute. And Yuki smiles. Otani-san and Hanajima-san really do care a lot for Honda-san, don't you? Yeah, Uo says, like I told you before, she saved me. But more than anything else, she's the one thing in this world that can always put a smile on my face. Makes me feel respectable. Respectable? You? I assume Kyo says in the background as we kind of transition to the perspective of some 3 other girls who are in the store. They're dressed in, like, school uniforms, but one of them has her little, like, kerchief undone. One of them is wearing a long jacket and a surgical mask, so we can tell they're Yankees as well, right? That's her, right, Otani, one of them says. She sure is acting all big now that she's quit her gang. I say we show her her place. Knock her down a few pegs. But she's got guys with her, one of them comments. Of course, referring to Kyo and Yuki. You idiot, the other says. Punks like them would probably run away and cry to their mommies as soon as they saw us. But they sure are good looking, all of them think. Blushing, eyes sparkling. Later, Toru thanks them for the bathing suit, because I guess it was a surprise gift. Thank you so much, she says, and she freaks out. I'll take good care of it. And Uo and Hana hug her. Which is really fun. I don't know, I'll take good care of my bathing suit. So sweet. The kids
I'll never wear it. Wait.
Yeah, really. Just keep it in my drawer for safety. The kids all go out to get soba, and the boys ask what Hana and Uo bought. And Uo's like, well, you just have to wait and see, won't you? Yuki comments again on how well they get along, and he asks if they met in elementary school, because he keeps asking them fucking questions. Like, come on, Yuki. No. Way to move the plot along, Yuki. I mean...
He doesn't know how to people.
No, he's trying really hard to people, though. You can see it. You can see him asking them, which is very sweet. I think he kind of likes Uo, too, because he also asked her about the jacket at the grave, and he asked her about Toru's mom at the grave. So, like, maybe stuff that he feels like he can't ask Toru about, he asks her about. I don't know. It seems like... And Uo's very willing to talk.
He respects Uo's confidence.
I think maybe. I think I could see that being why. But anyway, so he asks again about their relationship, and Hanajima says that she had just transferred to their middle school because she had caused a bit of a problem at her previous school, quote unquote. Yuki and Kyo are like, really?
There's a little, like, cloud of anxiety behind
yes.
that.
You can tell they're kind of like,
Yuki's like, I'm not going to ask about that.
No. Toru asks cheerfully, you were still in active service then, weren't you, Uo-chan? Uo says that she made her debut in 5th grade, and Kyo looks up shocked. You're a hardcore delinquent, he says, and she's like, ain't that the truth? She was always...
I thought Kyo's, like, actually such a square.
I know! He acts like a punk, but he's a huge...
Yeah. He's always, like, scandalized by, like, talk of, like, gangs and drugs and sex and violence.
She's like, I took too many drugs in my youth, and he's like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, in that one episode, or the one chapter. Yeah, he's funny. Kyo is a softie at heart. It's all part of his arguing with Yuki persona. So, she says she was always wearing masks, and she plucked her eyebrows and wore long skirts. Oh no, you do that now, Arisa, Hana says. Hana is, like, full of burns for Uo this episode, or this chapter.
Only BFFs can be.
Basically. So, Yuki and Kyo wonder how they can be so cheerful, and Uo says that she was a lot angrier back then. She was a problem kid that her parents and teachers couldn't handle. Why is it so easy to turn bad, she wonders. And we see Uo's memories. Her hair is short, and she wears a long jacket and a mask, just like what she said. And we see her narration. So we've gone back in time into Uo's flashbacks about the past. So we see a narration.
These dramatic feathers going by.
Yes. Black feathers to signal the transition to the past. It's like you're in a time machine and there's a bird strike. Is that what it means?
Yes. That's what happened. Poor bird.
Oh. We see in her narration, before I knew it, I joined the ladies. I was surrounded by the wrong kind of people, and I was always getting into trouble. I'd start fights, start fires, and get chased by the cops. If I told you all this stuff that I did, your ears would rot. Anyway, I was a hopeless idiot. I like how her narration is like, anyway. But as cocky as I was, there was still someone that I really looked up to, and that was Kyoko-san. We see young Kyoko, her red butterfly jacket blowing in a breeze, and she's wearing a long skirt that's slit all the way up to the thigh, smoking and holding a pipe.
Beyond the thigh, it's split like to her hip.
Hip holes, yeah. It's all the way up there. I was like, this is rad.
Yeah.
So when I saw it. Of According to Uo, Kyoko beat up men twice her size, and despite being a woman, she became the leader of a suicide squad. They called her the Red Butterfly, as we know, and they said that when she rode her bike, the tail lights looked like a dancing butterfly. She was a tough fighter, and despite her reputation, she had principles. She hated phonies. The more that I heard about her from the older girls, the more I looked up to her. You know what I'm talking about, right? You start obsessing about how great someone is, and before you know it, you have a hero. And for me, that was Kyoko-san. We see Uo and some other girls in Uo's middle school days. You really dig the Red Butterfly, don't you? Uotani, one of them says, and Uo chuckles. And another girl is like, they say the Red Butterfly's living around here now. And Uo was like, are you serious? Yeah, I hear she got hitched to some square named Honda a while back. They say she's got a daughter about your age. Maybe she goes to your middle school. We see baby Uo in her school uniform, donning a surgical mask, of course. She wonders if there's a girl in her school named Honda and imagines her as like a super Yankee type. Like, she's got like the bandages or whatever wrapped around, and she's holding like a sword or something. Like, Uo thinks if she plays her cards right, she might be able to meet the real Kyoko-san. A page flip reveals that another girl carrying a huge stack of papers has bumped into Uo in the hall from behind. And Uo sasses her, and the girl apologizes and bows, of course spilling all the paper all over the floor with an ah! And she's like, oh, what should I do? And a kid walks by, and a girl's like, please don't step on that. Please don't step on... She said don't step on it, dumbass, Uo says. Then she pulls off her mask and freaks the kid out. And you, stop standing around and pick these up. Yes, the girl says, and then she hands Uo... She and Uo pick up the papers. And Uo complains, like, geez, you're kidding me, right? Making me pick up after you? What's your name, anyway? Toru Honda, the girl says. Honda, if you're trying to mess with me by saying you're the Red Butterfly's daughter, I'll send you to the nurse's office. And baby Toru, it's revealed as the girl, looks up, beaming, and says, oh yes, that was my mom's name from when she was in a gang. And Toru continues to beam, and Uo glares and raises her fist and is like, say goodbye to those pretty teeth, to which Toru is dramatically.
I just never get tired of Toru cheerfully talking about gangs.
She's like, you were still in active service then, right? That's my mom's name for when she was in a gang. And just like super cheerful.
Yeah. I'll burn my arm in a cigarette if you want.
Yeah. Whatever will make you comfortable. And Yuki is like, what the fuck? It's because Toru's accepting and loving of everyone.
Yes.
We see later baby Toru says, please come and see my mom. Are you serious? This is Kyoko-san's daughter. I never would have guessed, Uo thinks, and they walk home together, and Toru smiles and says, it's very nice to meet you, Uotani-san. May I call you Uotani-san? And Uo's like, yeah, whatever. Like, she doesn't care. She gives Toru the side eye and thinks, she doesn't even look like her. She's so plain. How can I put it? It's like her aura. She's a strange one, all right. And as they walk down the street from behind, Kyoko tackle hugs Toru, which is adorable. And Uo is shocked by the cuteness as Kyoko says, welcome, welcome, welcome home, Toru. That's my song that I made up.
Good.
I'm home, Toru says. You're happy, Mom. And then Kyoko hugs her and says, it's destiny that we met on your way home. What the? Uo thinks. Kyoko is about to start talking about her day, but Toru says that she wants to introduce Kyoko to someone first. And so Kyoko looks back over her shoulder at Uo, who blushes and thinks, yep, no doubt about that. This person is Kyoko. Like she can tell from what she looks like, I guess. Oh no, who is this? Kyoko says, holding up Toru's hand and waving it. It's Uotani-san, Uo says, smiling. And Uo's narration ends. Right then, at our first meeting, my image of her was completely destroyed. In the present, the kids are all eating their noodles, and Uo says, and yet I grew to respect and love her even more. Well, it's all good. And the girls smile, and Kyo looks grumpy and says, I think directed at Yuki, you're gonna ask how that happened too? And then we see in the background, the last panel, the Yankee girls from earlier are still creeping on Uo and the gang, and they're taking photos with the guys while a poor server tries to, like, talk to them, I guess, to get them to leave or whatever. And that's the end of chapter 39. Yeah, that's the number. Well, I was going to say the most important thing that happened is that Toru got a new bathing suit.
Yes.
The most important thing.
I was going to say the most important thing was Uo's imagination of Toru as a Yankee.
That is also very important, yes.
There's a word for those bandages I used to know, and I can't remember it right now.
Oh, like there's an actual word for them?
Yeah. Sarashi is the name of the bandages around your chest.
Shirashi?
Sarashi.
Interesting. There's a specific word. I did do a bunch of Googling of biker gangs for this, and I was like, I'll save this for later, but I'll just add some notes. I feel like people know things. But I found a couple of good articles that are like, here, these are from the heyday of like biker gangs and stuff. So yeah, Kyoko was in they call it a suicide squad, but yeah, she was in a specific type of biker gang. And it is interesting. One thing that I did notice that I didn't realize that she said, so Uo says like even though she was a woman, she was a leader in the gang, which is kind of interesting. I didn't realize. I thought she was also in a girl gang like Uo.
Yeah.
Kyoko is a badass. This is what I learned. This is the most important thing that I learned from this chapter.
Yeah. She's also really adorable in the little bit we get.
Yes.
I think this is kind of the first like actual like Kyoko as a person we get, rather than like Kyoko and like dispensing advice in Toru's flashbacks.
Yes. It is the first memory of her from someone who's not Toru. And B, not just like her knowledge drop, as I'm fond of saying. Yeah, it's like a memory of her doing something.
I think it might also be our first glimpse of Toru's dad. Have we had his name yet?
Oh, I don't know. If it is, then I'll have to get rid of it because I said it.
Yeah, I couldn't remember. My notes say first glimpse of Katsuya, but I couldn't remember.
Me too.
If it actually said it or not. So
hold on, I have the thing. I can look really quick.
Yeah, I feel like it might have been mentioned in like the episodes where she like went back to her grandpa's house.
Or maybe it was.
Yeah, I can't remember, but I think this is our first glimpse of him.
I think it is. And yeah, Uo just says her dad was simple, so they didn't say his name, but I think they might have said it before.
Another line I took note of is Uo's little kind of thought where she says, "Why is it so easy to turn bad?"
Yeah,
I think that
was interesting.
Yeah, I think like I've kind of mentioned, like one thing I like about the series is how it's kind of sympathetic to everybody, even the more like quote unquote villainous or like jerk characters.
Yes.
And I feel like that's kind of an extension of that. Like, why is it so easy to turn bad? Like, you see these characters kind of like what they're going through and what kind of motivations they have and how easy it is to kind of go to the quote unquote dark side, I guess.
It does. Yeah. I feel like I kind of alluded to it when I was like, Toru, that's because Toru loves everyone. But like, it is something that happens, I feel like, in this series a lot is like everyone is a certain way and there are reasons for all of those things.
Yeah.
I think, like, yeah, it's interesting, like, how do you go from being just, like, a kind of a grumpy kid to being in a gang, because you're disenfranchised with what's going on, right?
Yeah.
We'll get, I don't know, minor spoiler alert, we're going to get more information about Uo's backstory next time, so I'm sure we'll see more about how she got involved with the gang and whatever. But she kind of just sort of alluded to it,
Yeah. And even just the fact that we have Kyoko, who used to be in a gang and is, now portrayed as, Toru's loving mother.
Yeah, Kyoko is portrayed as being like a super friendly, chill, super loving mom, right? In this one scene where she comes in, so much so that Uo was like, what the fuck? When she sees her, like, it's not what she's expecting at all. And I think, like, the series, I think, talks about how people can change, how they have reasons for doing things and then how they can change. Like, it seems like everybody, there's a place for everyone to be kind of respected. And Toru and her friends, I think, are symbols of that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just a line that stuck out to me when I was reading it this time.
Yeah, me too. I just thought it's such an interesting comment because Uo has an interesting perspective on being in a gang, too. Like, she's kind of, it's like we also made a joke that Yuki asked her a bunch of stuff and like maybe he admires her confidence, but she is very confident about it. She's like, yeah, like I was in a gang and back in my gang days I was like this and that and this. Like she's moved on from, there's something about it that she's moved on from that life or like the way that she felt back then. Like she changed, and it's alluded to that I guess is partly because of like Toru and maybe her relationship. She said like
Toru saved her.
Yeah, Toru saved her, exactly.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Another thing I noticed on this reading as like a fandom old, I guess, now is that, man, she was young.
Yeah.
She's talking about joining in middle school.
5th grade, she said she joined. She made her debut in 5th grade. So she's like 10 or 11.
Yeah, and what are they, sophomores or juniors? Something like that right now?
Now they're in their 2nd year of high school, so they would be American
juniors. Yeah,
exactly.
And like she's talking about this is like her, past. Like she's like 16 tops.
Yeah, so it's like a year ago or like 2 years ago or something, because she's in middle school because she's wearing they said they met in middle school, so that would have been at a maximum like 2 years ago, right? Because it's the year before they started freshman year or something. So yeah, she's like, yeah, back in my gang days 3 years ago.
Yeah.
But I feel
like 13.
Time feels different when you're a child, though. Like when you're 13 feels a lot different than 16. But like 26 doesn't feel different than 23.
Yeah. You're getting older when you like read series from when you were younger, and you're like, they're all children.
They're all children. Every single character. Kyoko too.
What are you doing? You're all children.
Yes. Yes.
Do your homework. Play some video games.
But that's the whole thing about this. Like, I think the thing about, from what I can gather from not having a deep understanding of like gang culture in Japan, but like the thing about these gangs is like the kids, like they're not even like bad kids, but they're against like the social, like construct and the expectations that they're supposed to have and like the phoniness of society, which I completely agree with. So they're just getting in trouble because they can. It's like punks, right?
Like how easy it is to fall into that kind of circle if you're a kid that doesn't like fit in with the expectations. And I know they're even harsher in Japan, the expectations.
Yeah, exactly. She's like, no, I don't want to be like that. And then she's like, oh yeah, before you know, I started hanging out with bad kids, and before you know it, I was in this gang. Yeah. It's so easy to get wrapped up in things. I think especially when you're a kid, if no one's showing you that things can be better or in a different way than what you think, then like it could be so easy to just fall into a certain like social group.
Yeah. And like she talked about how like her parents and her teachers couldn't handle her. So like she didn't have any.
There's no adult who
is trying to get through to her.
I have a note. I don't know what to think of it, but gangs. So we have this like, we have an ongoing theme around having like a found family and finding a group that you belong to. I think this is also a part of that. Like obviously people finding gangs is like them finding a social group and feeling protected and feeling, like cared about by some people.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty common thing, I think. It's like
we know so much about the gang
you
life,
don't feel
obviously.
Like you have a us.
Yes.
But I think that's a fairly common story both in media and in real life with like people joining gangs, is that they didn't feel any kind of connection to
other people,
the quote unquote normal social groups you're supposed to have a connection to, and so they lost the gang life, and that's a family for them.
I feel like there's a parallel between this and like the Somas too. Especially like Yuki and Kyo, we see them forming this kind of like social group with Toru, and now expanding out to Hana and Uo. Like they're forming their own group, and then maybe the family, like they're a part of this family that's like, I mean, it's like a gang itself, right? Like I've heard a lot of people compare the Soma family to like a cult. Like they have this secretive nature. It's super cut off from everyone else. They're all like kind of brainwashed. Like we talked about how Kazuma, like he basically, like when he was a little kid, they're kind of like indoctrinated. The ones who know about the curse, they're all sort of indoctrinated at a young age.
Yeah.
Even people like Kazuma, when he was a little kid, he was like, oh, I don't want to touch that food, Grandpa. It's cursed,
Yeah.
I couldn't lead into it a different way. I couldn't think fast enough. But yeah, like they're all, so it's kind of like that. Like they're trying to, like in this case, I guess Uo is kind of this person who, she's found that space now with Hana and Toru. Yuki and Kyo, I think they're still working to get out of that social group they've been indoctrinated into for so long and so forcibly, with like the abuse of Aikido and so many other things that have gone on that we've seen so far in the series. So
like they're not in a gang, quote unquote, but they have another unhealthy like family substitute.
Yeah, they do.
They're starting to find their way out of that.
At least in the way that I would classify. They're directly blood related, but I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Or well, like I don't know. They're related by
like a substitute to a healthy family, I guess.
Yes.
Is what I would say.
What I would think of like the ideal of a family, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Because we know enough by now to know they both have like shitty family lives with their like direct like nuclear family.
Yes, it seems like. So yeah, I don't know. I thought that was an interesting parallel that I never thought about until I read this series this time. Like how this series, it represents different types of like ways that people try to find social connection, and how some are so negative, are portrayed as being so negative, and now, and like, but that you can change, I guess, and you can still find the right place for you, right? So.
Yeah. I'd say like a big theme of this series, like the entire series, is just like the effects other people have on you and you have on other people.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Positive and negative.
Every episode, I'm like, yeah, the thing Shigure said to Kyo in like the first chapter.
Yeah, it's a really good kind of thesis statement for the series, I think.
The way you become a better person is by interacting with people. They have to hurt you and you have to hurt them. That's how you become more empathetic and caring and well-rounded person.
Mm-hmm.
And finding, I think, like, and then if you on top of that idea, finding the right group of people who's going to be supportive of you and not be hurting you all the time or not be negative to you is important, and you can do it.
Yeah. Like I don't think you can get through life without being hurt and hurting other people, but the goal is to try and get to the place where you're not doing that very much
not
anymore.
All the time.
Yeah.
Not on the regular, only sometimes. Just enough to keep you alive. I mean.
People are flawed creatures.
It's true.
That's all we can do.
It's true.
Deep thoughts.
Yeah. It's like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock on a Sunday night. We've been laughing a lot about Furuba. It's time for deep thoughts.
I've been drinking wine.
Yeah. I've been drinking water and being tired. It's kind of the same.
Basically. I think that's all the notes I have.
I think so.
Yeah. Except that tiny baby Toru is indeed adorable.
She is adorable. Spoiler alert. She's adorable.
Yeah. That's the takeaway from this chapter.
Yeah, I think so. Oh, one thing I wanted to say about Kyoko, I'm just looking at my notes. So she's also like, so Kyoko was a badass, as has been proven by that drawing of her and saying that she could beat up men like twice her size and shit, which is great.
Yeah.
But also like, it's so clearly like it's a segue to Uo meeting Toru where they're all talking about her, but like if it's, you can interpret it as being like she's so well known that she's been out of the gang for a while, but then they still know about her. Everybody in the gangs, they still talk about her, right? Mm-hmm. So much so that Uo looks up to her. Like, they all know stories about her and stuff, which is cool.
Yeah, I was thinking about that, too. Like, talking about, like, oh, yeah, she moved into this area and she's a kid your age. And I'm like, she stopped being in a gang before she had Toru. And Toru's, like, 12, 13 at this age. So she's been out of the gang life for a while and is still well known.
Yeah, so I said she's been out of the gang a long-ass time in my notes.
Yeah.
So apparently she made a big impact, so much of an impact that even the new kids are like, yeah, she has a kid your age. Like, they know. Yeah. They all know about her, so. Mm-hmm. It's interesting. It's kind of interesting comment on Kyoko's character that I didn't remember from before. Yeah. On top of all these other great things about her, apparently she was also a badass, which is cool. Yeah,
quite a reputation.
Apparently. But yeah. Well, if there are no more non-spoilers, let's move on to spoilers because I have spoiler things to tell you. I don't know which part of that I'm cutting or not, but thank you all for listening. We will see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Oh, I should have said your goodbye. She's really...
Makoto. This next episode has Motoko and Makoto, so I hope you're prepared for that.
Oh, God. Everybody get ready. I'm going to have to practice talking.
The next chapter.
I'll be like, Motoko says blah, blah, blah. Makoto says blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Makoto.
Challenging.
Makoto is the dude.
Yeah. He's almost gone, right?
I hope so. I'm tired of him already, but I think so.
Yeah.
I really hope.
It's Ko is a girl ending.
Yes,
for a
exactly.
Name.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But you can't be halfway through the name and then change it.
Yeah. Makoko.
It's actually it's a mech of the two of them. And they're like, we're in charge of Yuki's future forever. The AU writes itself.
Hashtag great fanfic.
Oh boy. Okay, we're back to talk about spoilers. Jeez, we can't get through this time. It's like we turned it into a comedy. I don't think either of them were that funny. They weren't sad, but they weren't that funny.
Yeah. interrupt your regularly scheduled episode of Let's Stay Together to bring you the Ellen and Kayla Comedy Hour.
Yeah, it's terrible. Everything's fine.
It's good.
We kind of talked about it, but I guess this is all going to go into Uo and Kyoko's backstory.
Yeah. I was going to say, I was like, it's really kind of a spoiler if it's going to be in the next chapter, but...
I already talked about it a couple of times.
Allusions to backstory.
Yeah. I was just going to say, we talked about how young Uo is, but we didn't talk about how young Kyoko is. Like, because she was out of the gang by the time that she was also their age now, right? Like, she was out of the gang before she got into high school, because she never made it to high school.
Mm-hmm.
And she left the gang to try to go to high school, right? So she was like 15 and she was the leader of a gang. Like, that's mind-blowing.
Mm-hmm.
Although I guess, according to my research, quote unquote, a bunch of I think the main age for these, like, the biker gangs is, like, you know, like teens, like 16 to 19. So it's not super surprising, but it's kind of surprising.
Yeah. I mean, I just think of myself at 15 and I'm just like, God.
How did you lead a gang? Like, I could barely get up to go to school. Like,
seriously, I was like, that's what I was like, staying up till like 4 a.m. and I'd like sleep for an hour, and then like I would take a shower, and then I'd like lie down on my bed and like sleep for another 20 minutes in a towel. Like,
yes,
I was not suited to lead anything at that age.
Especially not a gang. Well, maybe if you live the gang lifestyle and you don't care, you could be more productive.
Yeah, you can probably like sleep in and then get up and run your gang at like,
run your gang,
10 o'clock.
Yeah, gang life starts at nighttime. She didn't need to be awake during the day, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we would know. Again.
That's why I was staying up till 4 a.m. because I couldn't get to sleep.
Gotta run your gang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Had to do my English essay and then run my gang.
Yeah. There was also a thing that Uo said she had principles and she didn't like phonies. Isn't that one of the reasons why she didn't like get along with her parents and stuff? Like, that's kind of why she was in the gang life in the first place. Like I was saying, like she was disenfranchised and stuff.
I can't remember because I was too busy thinking about Catcher in the Rye.
What? Oh, because he doesn't like phonies?
Yeah.
Stop with the references.
Hey, that's a literary reference.
All right, fine. I guess you can call it literature.
It is.
It is.
You get assigned it in high school. It's literature. What's his name? Holden Caulfield.
Yeah, that guy, the punk
who you relate to as a young teenager, and then you hate him, and then you get to be an adult, and you're like, oh, this poor child.
Yeah,
which is not dissimilar to reading Fruits Basket.
Yes. It's like Hiro. I hate him right now, but later he'll be fine.
Yeah.
And I mean, I sympathize with his inability to communicate his feels, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just, the Wikipedia page for Catcher in the Rye says, the novel's protagonist, Holden Caulfield, has become an icon for teenage rebellion. The novel also deals with complex issues of innocence, identity, belonging, loss, and connection.
Wow, sounds like Furuba.
I know, right? It's almost like it's a coming-of-age story or
almost
something.
Like.
I kind of wonder if that was a deliberate translation, though, her saying she doesn't like phonies. I
don't know. Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know what the Japanese would be equivalent to, but I feel like I don't like phonies just immediately brings to mind Catcher in the Rye to me.
Maybe.
Another line I took note of is Uo's little kind of thought where she says, "Why is it so easy to turn bad?"
The series, I think, talks about how people can change, how they have reasons for doing things, and then how they can change. Like, it seems like everybody, there's a place for everyone to be kind of respected, and Toru and her friends, I think, are symbols of that. Yeah.
Like, this is a spoiler, but I can't think of, like, a single character that's treated like this is a bad person. There's just nothing good about them. They're all bad. Like,
I don't think there's any character that I can think of that's all bad.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. They've all got, even if they're, like, total assholes, like, there's some sympathy and understanding of where they come from, even if it doesn't agree with how they choose to react to that.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with you. I can't think of one person one character whose backstory, or who doesn't have deeper reasons for why they do something or not.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, doesn't have, I think, like, every single one of the characters changes in the story, too.
Mm-hmm.
There's no flat characters who really stay the same.
Yeah.
So this is just skimming the surface of that now at this point in the story.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just a line that stuck out to me when I was reading it this time. All right, I have 2 more spoilers.
All right. Hit me.
One is that they say they're going on a beach trip soon, and they are going on a beach trip.
Did they say that? They're just like, it was like, you'll have to see it.
Yeah, she's like, you'll have to see soon. She's like, aren't you guys going on a beach trip soon? And Yuki's like, I'd like to.
Oh, yes.
Something like that.
Yes.
And yeah, we're getting close to having a very long beach.
Yeah, we're gonna have the greatest beach scene ever. The greatest beach episode. It's like 6 chapters.
Yeah, pretty significant.
Actually, I think it's 8. It's like more than a whole volume. There's at least a whole volume where they're at the beach.
It's pretty significant, though. A lot of stuff is revealed and implied and started in those chapters. So yeah,
because it's basically the midpoint. It's the mid-climax of the series.
Mm-hmm.
So many things happen.
Mm-hmm.
Sandcastles are built. Sandcastles wash away.
Stag beetles are caught.
Stag beetles are cut. You can't go against the sea, I learned.
Yeah. Before fireworks are set off.
Barbecue is had.
Mm-hmm.
It's a wonderful, wonderful arc.
Yes. My other spoiler is we get a handful of references to the like Uo and Kureno stuff in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Because they have the mention of Uo's job at the convenience store.
Yeah.
And also when Uo and Toru meet, when she like bows and drops all her stuff, that's the same way she meets Kureno when he like bows and drops all the snacks in the convenience store.
Yes, it's true. Yeah. I forgot that those things were related. Yes.
Yeah. When I saw her do that, I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah. All the chips. I remember all the chips. Mm-hmm. I did when she said, I'm the one who checks them out in the convenience store. I was like, oh, it's happening. Mm-hmm. Kureno is the man coming in and buying a convenience store lunch.
Yeah. So instead of a lunch, it's like 800 snacks.
Yes. Oh, that's true. Yeah, I forgot that that's foreshadowed now. Mm-hmm. So exciting. Oh, so many things. There's still so many things that have to happen.
Oh.
It's exciting.
So much series to go. What, 3 more Somas to be introduced?
Rin, Kureno, and I guess Ren, if you want to count her as a Soma. I think that's it. And then there's like other main characters, like Kunimitsu. We haven't met him yet. He's not really a main character, I guess, but he's there a couple times.
And the school student council gang.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about all them. There's like 5 of them, or 4 of them, I guess.
They're going to be teased pretty soon, which I'm excited about.
I know. I'm excited for you. I mean, I like them too, just not as much as you, I feel like.
Yeah.
So are coming. It feels like so much has happened, but so many things are still to come, which is exciting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're like right at the point where like the first anime stops, so
yes,
it's starting to get exciting.
It's really interesting that this is going to be, well, this episode will just, the episode that has this content is probably just going to have aired by the time this gets released.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be the one that will be aired before this, so that'll be interesting to see what comes out in that one.
Yeah, if it does.
Will have been
if they do go with that, it'll be like the first like real major deviation from the first anime
in terms of the order. Yeah.
Yeah, and content. Like I don't think we didn't get it.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah. You're right.
Anime,
yeah, you're right. They just introduced Hiro and Kisa and like Ritsu. I think they brought in all the Ritsu stuff. I think that stuff happens later. Ritsu doesn't come in.
Oh yeah, we haven't met Ritsu, have we?
No. Oh yeah, so you're right. It was Ritsu, Rin, and Kureno. Yeah, you're right. Mm-hmm. Ritsu appears at the end of chapter 43, which is next episode.
Yeah,
it's volume 8.
And in the first anime, we got Ritsu, Kisa, and Hiro, but we didn't get Rin and Kureno. So
it says Rin appears in chapter 48 or 49, probably 48, according to my notes.
So doesn't she appear in horse form?
I think so. She makes an appearance, that's for sure, but I don't think she really comes into the story until after that. Mm-hmm. She shows up at the beach, I think.
Yeah, doesn't she like show up real briefly, and Yuki's like, "What the fuck are you doing here?" And then she like leaves.
She's like, "Never you mind," and then baby's
and
out. And
Toru's like,
Yeah, of course. Yuki tries to be nice to Rin, but Rin doesn't want people to be nice to her. It's tough.
He's trying to people. Rin's not a very good person to practice peopling on.
No. No, she's not. She doesn't give a shit.
Yeah. Rin needs some practice on peopling too.
Yeah, she's just like the others, yes.
Rin and Yuki's relationship is kind of interesting. They don't have a lot of it, but...
No, it'll be really interesting. I'm excited to examine it again.
Mm-hmm.
because they have, and Yuki is like, I remember that she was always there and she would leave, like they have this special connection, but then Rin just like doesn't want to acknowledge it.
Yeah, they're mostly like connected through Haru, but
Yeah.
they like know a lot about each other because of that.
Yeah.
Even though they themselves aren't really close. So it's kind of interesting.
I feel like they both of them suffered a lot at the hands of Aikido, so
Yeah.
it's like another. The really interesting about all these like different characters in the story, I feel like that I keep thinking about more and more is like if they could just talk to each other, they would all be so much better off, because if they if they knew what was going on, like they would be able to relate to each other so much more, and they weren't so ashamed of all the things that were happening to them. Like there wasn't so much shame associated with that, and like all these complicated feelings. If they were like, and they're young and they can't express their feelings, if all of them could just talk, they'd be so much better off. They'd have so much better support network, but it just takes time.
Yeah. So they get toward that, it takes a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, we talked about like briefly how like Yuki and Haru were able to like have an actual conversation about like all their issues, where Yuki and Kyo didn't really get that opportunity because it was already too far along when they first met as children. So
yeah,
even though they have a lot to relate to each other about.
Yes, but someday I'm sure they will be.
Yes.
Yes.
In about
100 chapters.
60 chapters from now. Yeah.
Something like that. Where are we now? We're in the 30s, right? Yeah, probably.
We're in the late 30s, and
so maybe like 90 chapters.
Yeah.
Toward the end.
They're babies. It takes them a while.
Yeah, they're
all children.
They're all children. Yeah, I know, they're all so young, and they have so many struggles.
Even the older ones, Satori and Shigure and Ayabe, it's like they're like our age. They're not that old.
No, not one person in this series is that old.
Yeah.
Even Kyoko too. I guess technically the oldest one's probably like Ren, rather. Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't have any other spoilers.
Yeah, that's all I had.
All right. Well, in that case, thank you all for listening once again, and for always like supporting us and sending us notes. It's really nice. It's very sweet.
Letting us know about ghost figures.
Yes, I know. Of course. These are the important things. Okay, thank you for listening. We will see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Called the continuity,
yeah.
Ellen.
Yes, that's right. It's a pillar of comedy. Oh, we didn't make an Ayame's Nads joke in this episode, and I feel like we've made one in almost everyone since then, so Ayame's Nads. Here you go. I mean, you laughed, so it must have been a joke.